It's about the reality we live in our heads, and it's also the reality that we live online. Namely, the website Craigslist. Does anyone know what Craigslist is?
Yes.
Yeah? Yeah, most people go to Craigslist to look for apartments, to rent, to look for furniture, whatever service, and other things. I don't know if we have this in the Cebu Craigslist, but in the US one, there is a section called Missed Connections. And in the story, you're going to learn what that section is all about. So here it is, Missed Connection by Rosemary Counter. A decade ago, before Twitter and Instagram, and when Facebook was still in its infancy, my university friends and I spent many hours lurking in Craigslist Missed Connection section, sipping cheap rosé while perusing posts and laughing at the desperate souls who loitered there. The more pathetic the ads, the better. You, Asian in green toque, me, skinny jeans reading Lord of the Rings, wanted to say hi and I like your smile, but you got off the train. Perhaps it was a fluke, or maybe our habit made what happened inevitable. But one night my friend Kate saw an ad that read, "You were at the Drake Hotel, slim, with red hair in a black satin top. I didn't say hi because you were dancing with your friends. I've never done this before, but I thought, hey, it's worth a shot." "This is you! Oh my God!" she squealed. "This is seriously actually you!" In those days, I was red-haired, and that night, my friends and I, with me in a black top, had indeed been sipping mojitos at the Drake, celebrating a birthday in an intimate group that, yes, may have been intimidating to a guy wanting to approach one of us. Despite how I had mocked those who posted on Missed Connections, I needed no persuading to reply. "So this is random," I wrote, "but I think I might be the girl you saw." He answered within the hour, shocked his post had found me, if I was in fact the girl that he was looking for. After some witty banter, I sent him a photo. "It's you," he wrote. "I can't believe it's really you." At my request, he sent me a photo of himself, crooked-smiled and droopy-eyed with cropped hair. "I'm not very photogenic," he said, with charming self-deprecation. "I'm not tall either." It all felt so sweet, surreal and strange, and impossibly romantic. I was 22, he was in his early 30s. Of course, I tried to look him up online, but didn't find anything. In those pre-social media days, you often didn't, other than where they worked or had gone to school. On our first date, he drove all the way downtown to pick me up for an early dinner. It was his pleasure, he explained, as he was dropping his brother off at the airport anyway. "Family is the absolute most important thing to me," he said over a bottle of red wine in a candlelit cafe. I know I'm not supposed to say this already, but I'm so ready to settle down. I just need to meet the right girl. We bundled up and walked to the movie theater for a late screening, stopping at a cash machine along the way. "This is my treat," he said, something he would announce proudly and often in the days to come. When a young man passing by us looked at us up and down, he wrapped his hand around my waist and said, "He's wondering what a girl like you is doing with someone like me." He seemed shorter in that moment, and I felt guilty, realizing that only a few days earlier I may have let something as superficial as his height define him. "At least I'll never have to wear high heels again," I joked as I leaned in close. On the way home, he stopped at a vendor and he bought me blue carnations. I had been burned so many times before. I knew better than to get my hopes up about this leading anywhere. I almost prided myself on being jaded, on being immune to disappointment. But the next morning, he called to ask me out for breakfast. "I took the whole day off," he said, "because I can." We went for breakfast, and then because I didn't have the luxury of skipping my waitress shifts, he drove me to work. "Do you need a drive home after work?" he said. Nobody had ever picked me up or cared how I'd gotten home, so I happily accepted. Over the next week, whenever I needed to go anywhere, he wanted to keep me company. He always had something special in mind, a restaurant reservation or tickets already purchased. One night I mentioned I missed America's Next Top Model, and the next day he delivered the whole box set to my front door. It was, I imagined, how love was supposed to be. We were spending every free moment together, while other connections had felt forced. This was the twist of fate I had been waiting for. Although I was blissfully happy being spoiled and adored, my new life with my missed connection made me think how brutally fickle chance could be. What if Kate hadn't clicked on his ad that night? What if he had been too shy to post it? What if fate hadn't intervened and we had never met at all? And what if the universe, as quickly as he had given him to me, snatched him back? I posed questions like these to Kate and nearly everyone I knew, making me insufferable, I am sure. And then, 10 days into the best relationship I had ever had, non-stop romance, presents, cuddling, Kate appeared unannounced at my doorstep. She hadn't seen me much recently because I am a bad friend and I often disappear when I'm consumed with a man. And she had a bad feeling. I had a bad feeling, but mostly about her. Imagining that she felt jealous, possessive, and alone, chance had favored me but not her, though I smugly assured her that someday that would change, if only she believed. Something had shifted in me when my silly fantasies turned real, and if there were any red flags, I refused to see them. So Kate pointed them out. For one, why didn't I know more about his life despite having spent a solid week together? Because he was such a good listener and that I did most of the talking. Why had I never been to his house? Because he lives way uptown and I don't drive. Why the disproportionate number of presents? Because he's the most generous man I've ever met. And why were we going on 3 dates a day? Because I was finally getting the attention I deserved. In any case, I cut a deal with Kate and agreed to call and press him ever so gently. On my flip phone from a parking lot, I said, "My friend is probably totally crazy, but is there anything you should tell me?" Normally the strong, silent type, he burst into tears. It was almost as if he had been waiting to confess this moment of release he had been anticipating. He was married, of course, and under a lot of pressure. He had one child already and another on the way. He didn't have a brother, it was his wife that he dropped at the airport. She and their child had gone to visit family and would be back in a few days. And the clincher, though he had heard good things about it, he had never been to the Drake Hotel. He did, however, truly like redheads. "I chose you," he said. "You were special." But he hadn't chosen me. He laid a trap for women with red hair and black tops and maybe another trap for blondes with freckles. And I was the one who walked into it. Chance hadn't favored me, it had targeted me, tapping something in me that was dormant but susceptible to romantic delusion. After all, long before he placed his ad, I had been loitering on Craigslist, mocking people who I thought were lonely and needy and nothing like me. But they were everything like me. We were all hoping love wouldn't miss us. We were all eager to believe that love for us was meant to be. After our 10 intense days together, My missed connection disappeared as quickly as he had arrived, timed almost to the day of his wife's return. I imagined him picking her up at the airport with a bouquet of blue carnations or some special present with a secret meaning only they would understand. Or maybe he didn't do things like that for her anymore. For a long time, I considered sending her an email, possibly anonymous, but I decided against it. I didn't know who she was or what she might do. Those rambunctious evenings of rosé and Craigslist stalking are long gone, but sometimes I type the name of my missed connection into Google, and there he is, easily found now on nearly every social media platform, smiling wide with his arms crossed or tweeting about his life's minute details. I could tweet him if I wanted to, or friend him on Facebook, or link up with him on LinkedIn. Everything I needed to know is right there, 10 years too late. Meanwhile, he and his wife have divorced. They weren't meant to be either, apparently. One thing I do know, meant to be is just a fairy tale we tell ourselves. And sometimes it's even an ad on Craigslist. Thank you.